There were a total of 13 Anglo-Saxon Kings of England, starting with King Aethelstan in 1924 and ending with Edgar Atheling, who was proclaimed king following the death of Harold II at the Battle of Hastings in October 1066. There were also 3 Danish kings during this period: Sweyn Forkbeard, his son Canute, and his son Harthacnut. The first Anglo-Saxon King of England was Aethelstan, who ruled from 924 to 939. He was the grandson of King Alfred the Great. Aethelstan realized his grandfather's dream of uniting all of England under one ruler and earned the submission of the Welsh. King Constantine of Scotland submitted to him in 937 after Aethelstan's victory at the Battle of Brunanburh. When Aethelstan died in 939, he was succeeded by his half-brother Edmund. Edmund ruled from 939 until 946. He initially struggled to maintain control of all England and lost the north to the Danes. However, by 944, he had regained control of all England. In 946, he was killed by a thief named Leofa in Pocklechurch. Although he had 2 sons, Edwig and Edgar, they were considered too young to rule, and the crown passed to Edmund's younger brother, Eadred. Eadred was King of England from 946 to 955. Like his elder brother, Eadred initially lost the north of England to the Danes, but reunited the kingdom in 954, when the Northumbrians accepted him as king. Eadred did not have good health, and died on 23rd of November 955 at the age of 32 years. He had not married and had no children, so the throne passed to his nephew, Edwig. Edwig ruled England from 955 to 959. He was a teenager when he became king in 955 and quickly fell out with the influential Abbot Dunstan. It is alleged that during the coronation feast, Dunstan caught Eadwig partly dressed in a compromising position with a young lady and her mother. The conflict between the two was so bad that Edwig exiled Dunstan. In 957, the rule of England was divided between Edwig, who ruled Wessex, and his younger brother Edgar, who ruled the rest of England. Eadwig died on 1st October 959, and his brother took over rule of the whole country. Edgar ruled from 959 to 975. He is known as the Peaceful because he reversed many of his brother's charters and policies and restored good relations between the crown and the church. There were also no Viking invasions during his reign. Edgar died on 8th of July 975, leaving 2 surviving sons, Edward by his first wife Ethelflaed, and Ethelred by his third wife Elfdrith. King Edward, known as the Martyr, ruled from 975 to 978. He was chosen to succeed his father over his younger half-brother Ethelred, which greatly angered Ethelred's mother, Elfdrith, who believed her son should be king. On 18th of March 978, King Edward decided to pay a visit to his stepmother and half-brother at Corfe Castle. When he arrived, he was stabbed and killed by a number of men loyal to Elfdrith. He was succeeded by his half-brother Ethelred. Ethelred was King of England from 978 to 1013 and from 1014 to 1016. He succeeded as king on the day his brother was murdered. He is known as Ethelred the Unready, from the Old English unread meaning poorly advised. Very soon after Ethelred's accession, the Vikings began attacking and raiding England. Following Saxon defeat at the Battle of Maldon, it was agreed to pay the Vikings $10,000 to leave England alone. A few years later, $22,000 was paid. In 1002, Ethelred decided to exact revenge and ordered that all Danes living in England be slaughtered. Among those killed during the St. Brice's Day massacre was the sister of the Viking leader, Sweyn Forkbeard. In 1007, Forkbeard accepted a payment of $36,000 from Ethelred to maintain peace. However, he returned and invaded in 1013. He was victorious, and Ethelred, his second wife Emma of Normandy, and their children fled to Normandy, and Sweyn became King of England. Sweyn Forkbeard ruled England from December 1013 to his death in February 1014. Sweyn wanted his son Canute to succeed, but the Witan would not accept him and called for Ethelred to return. On his return, Ethelred launched an attack on Canute, forcing him to leave the country. However, Canute returned in 1016, determined to take the English throne. Ethelred was now 50 years old and in conflict with his eldest son by his first wife, Edmund Ironside. Edmund led the fighting against Canute, but was pushed back to London. Ethelred died on 23rd April 1016, and Edmund succeeded as king. King Edmund Ironside was king from April to November 1016. He was known as Ironside due to his military prowess. After Canute's victory at the Battle of Assundoun in October 1016, an agreement was reached whereby Edmund would rule Wessex and Canute the rest of the country. When Edmund died on 30th November 1016, Canute succeeded as king. King Canute ruled from 1016 to 1035. In 1018, Canute's brother, Harold, died, and Canute became king of Denmark. In 1028, he succeeded to the Norwegian throne, earning him the epithet, the Great. Canute the Great died on 12th November 1035. His son Harthacnut was designated his successor in Denmark and England, while Magnus the Good succeeded in Norway. However, Harthacnut was facing rebellion in Denmark and could not leave for England. In 1037, Harthacnut had still not returned to England to be crowned. Harold Harefoot, the son of King Canute by his first wife Ælfgifu of Northampton, persuaded the Witan to crown him instead. He ruled England from 1037 to 1040. When Harold died in 1040, Harthacnut was able to travel and finally became King of England. He ruled for 2 years. Harthacnut was not married and had no children. However, when his health began failing in 1041, he invited his half-brother Edward, known as the Confessor, to England and nominated him as his heir. Harthacnut died on 8th June 1042, and Edward succeeded as king. Edward, known as the Confessor, ruled from 1042 to 1066. He was a virtual stranger to England and needed the support of the nobility, particularly Earl Godwin of Wessex. In 1045, Edward married Godwin's daughter Edith. Godwin's sons were also given positions. Earl Godwin died in 1053 and was succeeded by his son Harold, who maintained close links with King Edward. In 1056, Edward the Confessor summoned Edward, the exiled son of King Edmund Ironside, to return to England. Edward, his wife and children, returned in 1057, but Edward the Exile died soon afterwards. His son Edgar was designated heir. Edward devoted his later years to the building of Westminster Abbey, leaving Harold to deal with the administration of the country. Edward became ill in December 1065, and shortly before his death on 5th January 1066, he promised the throne to Harold Godwinson, as Edgar was deemed too young to lead the country. Harold Godwinson was crowned on 6th January and ruled until 14th October 1066. Harold knew that William was likely to invade and stationed militia along the south coast. By early September, it seemed unlikely that the invasion would take place that year, and the men were dismissed to help bring in the harvest. On 8th September, England was invaded, not by William, but by Harold Hardrada, supported by Harold's exiled brother Tostig. When he learned that the Anglo-Saxons had been defeated, Harold marched north and defeated the invaders at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. While celebrating the victory at York, Harold learned that William had invaded on the south coast. Harold immediately rode south, confident that he could beat the Normans. The battle took place on Senlac Hill on 14th October 1066. The two sides battled all day and Harold's brothers were killed. As dusk was falling, King Harold was struck down and killed. When it was known that Harold was dead, Edgar Atheling, son of Edward the Exile, was proclaimed king. When William and his forces reached London, the Witan and Edgar were forced to submit. William was crowned King of England on 25th December 1066, ending the rule of the Anglo-Saxons.